My mother dragged my paralyzed body, claiming I was faking for attention after a spinal injury, so I went no contact. 5 years later, she faked cancer and tried to get me fired from teaching disabled kids. The principal leaned back in her chair, studying me carefully. "You're saying you want her to go public with these accusations?" I nodded, gripping my cane tighter. "She's been controlling this narrative for 5 years. It's time people heard the truth. The school board won't like controversy," she warned. "They might ask you to take leave while this gets sorted out." "Then let them," I said. "I have documentation, real medical records, x-rays showing 4 years of untreated fractures, bank statements proving she stole my prize money." The principal sighed. "I'll give you 1 week to resolve this before I have to bring it to the board. Can you do that?" "Yes," I said, though my hands were shaking. 1 week. That afternoon, I was teaching my adaptive PE class when I noticed someone outside the fence. My mother stood there with her phone raised, taking photos of me in my wheelchair. When our eyes met, she smiled and waved like we were old friends. "Miss, who's that lady?" asked Sammy, one of my students. "Nobody important," I said, trying to keep my voice steady. "Let's get back to our exercises." But Mother kept coming back. Every recess, every outdoor activity, she was there with her camera. On Wednesday, I checked the school's Facebook page during lunch and nearly dropped my sandwich. Fraud alert. This teacher stole $60,000 from her dying mother and is faking paralysis for sympathy. I have proof she can walk. Our children deserve better than a con artist. The post had 17 photos of me teaching from my wheelchair, each with captions about how I was deceiving everyone. By the time I reported it to Facebook, it had been shared 43 times. My phone rang. It was Jamie. "Have you seen what she posted?" he asked. "Yeah, I'm looking at it now." "That's not the worst part," he said. "She hired a lawyer. She's using your prize money to sue you for defamation and theft." I felt my chest tighten. "She can't do that. That money was mine." "I know, but she's claiming she was your legal manager, says she has contracts." The next morning, 3 parents were waiting outside my classroom. "We're pulling our children from your class," one father said. "We can't have them around someone who would steal from their own sick mother." "She's not sick," I started, but they were already walking away. By Friday, half my adaptive PE class was gone. I spent the weekend calling the 3 doctors who had treated my fractures over the years. Dr. Thon refused to get involved, saying he didn't want legal trouble. Dr. Joni had retired and his practice wouldn't give me his contact information. Only Dr. McJonathan agreed to help, but he was out of the country until next month. On Monday, my physical therapist called me, confused. "Your mother just called pretending to be your aunt," she said. "She was asking really specific questions about your mobility. I told her you could walk short distances with your cane because I thought she was family. Did I do something wrong?" My stomach dropped. "What exactly did you tell her?" "Just that you can manage about 15 to 20 steps on good days before the pain gets too bad. Was that okay?" Before I could answer, I got a text from Jamie with an audio file. She recorded the whole conversation and edited it. Listen to this. The recording was choppy but clear. "She can walk 15 to 20 steps. Manages good days." All the context was gone. It sounded like my therapist was exposing me as a faker. Tuesday morning, the principal called me in again. "The board scheduled an emergency meeting for Thursday. Your mother's lawyer sent them a formal complaint with what they're calling evidence." "What kind of evidence?" "The recording, the photos, and apparently testimonies from family members saying you're mentally unstable." I spent Tuesday night on the phone with Jamie. "She's telling everyone she has cancer," he said. "Aunt Osamantha called me crying, saying you're heartless for abandoning mom during chemo." "She doesn't have cancer," I said. "I know that, but she has documents. I saw them when I was helping Dad look for tax papers, fake oncology reports, everything. Can you get copies?" "Already did," he said. "I photographed everything, including receipts showing she spent your prize money on cycling equipment for herself and a new car." Wednesday night, Jamie called again, his voice shaking. "She found out I've been helping you. She kicked me out, threw all my stuff on the lawn. Come stay with me," I said immediately. "Bring everything you have." He arrived at midnight with 3 boxes. We spent the rest of the night going through them. There were notebooks filled with his documentation from when we were kids, old phones with videos of mother screaming at me to train through injuries, photos of me at 13, crying while she wrapped my swollen ankles. "I kept everything," he said. "I knew someday we'd need it." Thursday arrived too quickly. I dressed carefully, choosing to use my wheelchair even though it was a good day. The school board meeting was in the district office, a building with terrible accessibility. Jamie pushed my chair up the ramp while I clutched my folder of evidence. Mother was already there with her lawyer, a sharp-dressed woman who looked expensive. Mother wore a conservative suit and had styled her hair to look fragile. She'd even added reading glasses I'd never seen before. "That's her," Mother said loudly when she saw me. "The daughter who abandoned me during cancer treatment to play victim." The board consisted of 5 members. They looked uncomfortable as we all filed into the conference room. Mother's lawyer went first. "My client, Mrs. Park, dedicated her life to her daughter's cycling career," she began. "She has bank statements showing she managed Soul's finances for years, photos proving Soul can stand and walk at school events, and testimonies from 6 family members about Soul's history of mental instability and pathological lying." She passed around a folder. I saw photos of me standing briefly at the school's winter concert, leaning heavily on my cane, bank statements from our old joint account, letters from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, all saying I was delusional. "Furthermore," the lawyer continued, "Mrs. Park is battling stage 3 lymphoma, and her daughter stole the money meant for her treatment. This is elder abuse, plain and simple." When my turn came, I started simple. "I have medical records showing spinal fractures from age 15. I passed around the folder. "These are from 3 different hospitals over 4 years. Each time, my mother found ways to make me keep training." Jamie stood up. "I have recordings." He played audio from his old phone. Mother's voice filled the room, screaming at me to stop being weak, to push through the pain, that I owed her Olympic gold. The board members shifted uncomfortably. One One woman covered her mouth during a particularly harsh recording where mother called me pathetic for crying about back pain. Then the door opened. Dr. McJonathan walked in, carrying a box. "Sorry I'm late," he said. "I flew back early when I heard about this meeting. I have Soul's original x-rays showing progressive spine damage over 4 years. I reported suspected abuse twice, but nothing came of it." Mother's lawyer objected. "This proves nothing about theft or fraud. My client isn't on trial for past parenting decisions." "You're right," I said. "Let's talk about the money." I contacted the Cycling Federation. They confirmed all prize money was legally mine as the athlete. My mother had no legal claim as a manager because she was never licensed. Here's their official statement. The board president reviewed the document. "What about the paralysis accusations?" This was the moment I dreaded. I locked eyes with Jamie, who nodded encouragingly. "I can walk," I said. "Exactly 17 steps on good days before the pain from my fused vertebrae becomes unbearable. Would you like me to show you?" The board exchanged glances. "If you're comfortable." I positioned my cane and slowly stood. My legs shook as I took 1 step, 2, 3. Each movement sent shooting pain up my spine. By step 10, I was sweating. Step 15, my vision blurred. Step 17, my legs gave out completely. Jamie caught me before I hit the floor, helping me back into my wheelchair. I was crying from the pain. Couldn't help it. "She's faking!" Mother screamed, jumping up. "I know my daughter. She's manipulating all of you." She rushed toward me, but Jamie stepped between us. "Don't touch her. You're poisoning her against me," Mother shouted at him. "Both of you are liars." Security entered as Mother continued screaming about lawsuits and revenge. They escorted her out while she yelled that we destroyed her life. The board took an hour to review everything. When they returned, the president spoke carefully. "We found no evidence of fraud by Ms. Park. In fact, we commend her courage in facing these accusations. We're also referring this matter to the district attorney for harassment charges and submitting falsified documents." Mother's lawyer immediately stood. "I'll be withdrawing as counsel." She left without looking at Mother. 2 months later, I sat in my classroom reading the news on my phone. Mother had been convicted of harassment and ordered to pay restitution. The Cycling Federation had launched an investigation after our meeting and banned her for life when they discovered she'd forged manager credentials for years. Jamie texted me a photo from his dorm room. He'd started college with a scholarship from a cycling advocacy group that heard about our case. "Thanks for everything," his message said. "Dad called that evening. The divorce is final," he said. "I testified about the financial abuse. I'm sorry it took me so long to see what she was doing to you." "It's okay, Dad," I said. "We're all free now." I'd started a program at school for young athletes dealing with pushy parents. We met every Wednesday, talking about boundaries and healthy training. The kids called it the Safe Space Squad. A week later, a letter arrived with Mother's handwriting. I almost threw it away, but curiosity won. "Soul, I forgive you for ruining my life. Despite everything, I hope you're happy. You've destroyed your family, but I choose to release my anger. I hope someday you'll realize what you've done. Your mother." I laughed, actually laughed. Then I framed it and hung it next to my teaching award. Sometimes the best victory is simply surviving, and I had proof of both on my wall. The framed letter had been hanging on my wall for exactly 3 days when the first package arrived. I found it on my doorstep after school, wrapped in brown paper with no return address. Inside was a photo album I recognized from childhood, filled with pictures of me on various bikes. But something was wrong. In every photo, my face had been scratched out with what looked like a knife. Jamie called while I was staring at the mutilated photos. "Did you get something weird in the mail?" "Photo album with my face scratched out," I said. "I got one too. Old training videos, but she edited them. Added text over every scene calling us liars and thieves." The packages kept coming. Every few days, another unmarked delivery. Medical bills with threatening notes written in the margins. My old cycling trophies, smashed to pieces. A copy of my birth certificate with ungrateful stamped across it in red ink. I reported everything to the police, but they said without proof it was Mother, they couldn't do much. The packages had no fingerprints, no return addresses, nothing traceable. 2 weeks after the letter, I was grocery shopping when I noticed someone following me. Every aisle I turned down, they turned down. When I stopped to check my list, they stopped to examine products. Finally, I spun my wheelchair around to confront them. It was my cousin Than, someone I hadn't seen in years. "Than?" I said, confused. "What are you doing here?" He looked uncomfortable, shifting his weight. "Aunt asked me to check on you. Mother sent you to spy on me? She said you're sick, that you need help but won't admit it." He gestured at my wheelchair. "She showed us videos of you walking at that school meeting. Said you only use the chair for sympathy." I felt exhausted suddenly. "Then I can walk 17 steps before my spine feels like it's being crushed. Want me to show you the surgical scars?" He backed away. "She said you'd say that you're really good at manipulation. Did she also tell you she stole $60,000 from me?" "She said you stole it from her. Showed us bank records." I pulled out my phone and showed him the Cycling Federation statement. His face went pale as he read it. This says the money was yours, that she was never a licensed manager. Because it's true, Thon. Everything she told you is a lie." He left looking shaken, but I knew it wasn't over. Mother had an entire extended family to weaponize against me. The next Monday, I arrived at school to find my classroom door covered in printouts. They were screenshots from a new website, The Truth About Soul. The site was full of photos from my racing days, interspersed with long rants about ungrateful children who abandon sick parents. My principal helped me tear them down. "This is escalating," she said. "Maybe you should consider a restraining order." I tried. The judge said mean websites and scratched photos aren't enough for a protection order. That afternoon, I noticed several parents whispering in the pickup line. One mother I'd always been friendly with avoided eye contact. By Wednesday, 3 more students had been pulled from my adaptive PE program. I found out why when another parent, Mrs. McJonathan, pulled me aside after school. "I wanted to warn you," she said quietly. "Your mother has been calling parents. She's telling everyone you're under investigation for embezzling school funds, That the wheelchair is part of an elaborate fraud scheme. My hands went cold. She's calling parents directly? She got the directory somehow. Very convincing too. Crying about her sick daughter who needs help but refuses treatment. Some parents are buying it. I thanked her and immediately called the principal. We spent the evening crafting a careful email to all parents, explaining the situation without violating any privacy laws. It was a delicate balance, but Mother was faster. By the time parents checked their email, many had already received follow-up calls from concerned family members. My Aunt Samantha, my Uncle Daniel, cousins I barely knew, all reaching out with the same message. I was mentally ill, dangerous, and shouldn't be around children. Jamie drove down that weekend to help me deal with the crisis. We sat in my kitchen surrounded by evidence boxes, trying to figure out our next move. She's recruited the whole family, he said. Dad called me yesterday. She's been showing up at family gatherings with a walker now, telling everyone the stress of my betrayal caused her to have a stroke. A stroke? I stared at him. She's faking a stroke now? Complete with a fake doctor's note. Dad saw through it, but most of the family believes her. My phone buzzed. Another unknown number. I'd been getting dozens of calls from relatives I hadn't spoken to in years, all wanting to lecture me about family loyalty. I let it go to voicemail. We need to go on the offensive, Jamie said. She's controlling the narrative again. How? She's got 30 relatives making calls. I've got you and Dad. What about your students' parents? The ones who still support you? He was right. At the next school board meeting, 12 parents showed up to speak on my behalf. Mrs. McJonathan went first, describing how I'd helped her daughter gain confidence despite her cerebral palsy. Another parent talked about how I'd adapted equipment so their son with muscular dystrophy could participate. Story after story of the real work I did, the real difference I made. But Mother had her own army. 6 relatives attended, each with prepared statements about my history of manipulation and pathological need for attention. They presented photos of Mother with her new walker, medical documents about her stroke, and bank statements they claimed showed my theft. The board looked overwhelmed. The president finally spoke. This is becoming a circus. Ms. Park, while we support you, we need to consider the disruption to the school environment. My heart sank. They were going to put me on leave. That's when Sammy's mother stood up. Sammy, my student who'd asked about Mother that first day at the fence. My daughter has spina bifida, she said. Before Ms. Park's class, she hated her body, hated her wheelchair. Now she comes home talking about how her wheels make her fast, how Ms. Park showed her cool tricks. You want to fire the one teacher who makes disabled kids feel powerful? The room erupted. Parents arguing with relatives, board members calling for order. In the chaos, I noticed Mother in the back row, no walker in sight, frantically texting on her phone. The board president banged his gavel. Enough! Ms. Park keeps her job. Anyone disrupting school property will be arrested for trespassing. Meeting adjourned. Mother's relatives filed out, shooting me angry looks, but the parents surrounded me, offering support. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe. The reprieve was short-lived. That weekend, Jamie called in a panic. She's suing Dad for divorce settlement fraud, claims he hid assets during their divorce. She's demanding half his retirement. Can she do that? Her new lawyer thinks so. Dad's freaking out. I spent Sunday on the phone with Dad, trying to calm him down. He'd already spent thousands on the divorce. The thought of going through litigation again was breaking him. Maybe I should just pay her, he said. Make this go away. Dad, no. That's what she wants. She'll never stop if you give in now. But I could hear the exhaustion in his voice. Mother had been calling his employer, telling them he was embezzling, calling his neighbors, spreading rumors. He was cracking under the pressure. Monday morning, I found my car tires slashed in the school parking lot. Security footage showed a figure in dark clothing, face covered. Could have been anyone. Tuesday, someone spray-painted fraud across my designated handicapped parking space. Wednesday, the school's Facebook page was hacked. Hundreds of posts appeared claiming I was under federal investigation for disability fraud. By the time IT got control back, screenshots had spread through parent WhatsApp groups. I was losing. Despite the board's support, despite the evidence, Mother's campaign was working. More parents pulled their kids. Colleagues started avoiding me. Even supportive parents seemed nervous, worried about being associated with the controversy. Jamie found me crying in my classroom after school that Thursday. Half of my students were gone. The adaptive equipment I'd carefully collected sat unused. We need something big, he said. Something that exposes her completely. Like what? We've shown the medical records, the bank statements. Nothing stops her. What about the old videos? The ones from when you were really young? I looked at him. What videos? He pulled out an old phone from one of his evidence boxes. I recorded everything, remember? Starting when you were 12. I've got hundreds of hours. We spent that night going through footage. Most of it was hard to watch. Mother screaming at me to get back on the bike after crashes. Me crying through training with visible injuries. Her telling me I was worthless when I couldn't complete a workout. But then we found it. A video from when I was 15, right after a race. I was on the ground, unable to move my legs. Mother was talking to someone off camera. She's fine, Mother said. Just dramatic. Watch. She'll get up when she realizes I'm not buying it. The camera kept rolling. 5 minutes. 10. I still couldn't move. Finally, Mother grabbed my arm, trying to drag me up. That's when my back made an audible crack. My scream was horrible. Turn it off, Mother hissed at the camera, but it kept recording. Her saying we couldn't go to the hospital because they'd ask questions. Her calling me selfish for ruining her dreams. Her deciding we'd wait until morning to see if I got over it. Jamie transferred the video to his laptop. This is it. This proves everything. We made copies that night. One for the police, one for the Cycling Federation, one for the school board, one for Dad's lawyer. Friday morning, Mother's new attorney contacted me. My client is willing to drop all claims if you sign a non-disclosure agreement. No videos, no public statements, no contact with family members. No, I said. She's prepared to escalate further. She has resources you don't. She has my money, I corrected, and I'm done being blackmailed. That afternoon, I posted the video on the school's official YouTube channel with with a simple title, Why I Teach Adaptive PE. The response was immediate. Parents who'd pulled their kids called to apologize. The Cycling Federation launched a formal investigation. Child Protective Services opened a retroactive case file, but mother wasn't done. That weekend, she showed up at my apartment complex with 5 relatives. They stood outside my door for hours, taking turns knocking and calling my name. Neighbors complained. The landlord called asking what was happening. I sat inside with Jamie, listening to them plead and threaten by turns. Mother's voice was the loudest, oscillating between tears and rage. I'm your mother. You owe me respect. I gave up everything for you. Jamie recorded it all. When they finally left, we had 3 hours of audio that would prove useful later. Monday brought a new crisis. Mother had hired a private investigator to follow me. He wasn't subtle, parking his sedan outside school, following me to physical therapy, sitting in his car outside my apartment. The principal noticed him immediately. Is that man following you? My mother hired him. She's trying to catch me walking without my chair. This is harassment. We're calling the police. But the investigator had done nothing illegal. He was on public property. He wasn't threatening me, just watching, always watching. The stress was affecting my health. My back spasms increased. I needed the wheelchair more often. The irony wasn't lost on me that mother's harassment was making my disability more visible. Jamie stayed with me most nights now, worried about leaving me alone. We developed routines, checking for packages, documenting everything, backing up evidence in multiple locations. One evening, while we were organizing files, Jamie's phone rang. It was our cousin Daniel. I need to tell you something, Daniel said. Aunt showed me her medical files. The cancer documents? I work at that hospital. Those letterheads were stolen. The doctor she listed doesn't exist. Can you prove that? Jamie asked. I already reported it to hospital administration. Forging medical documents is serious fraud. This was the break we needed. Real, prosecutable fraud that authorities couldn't ignore. The next day, I got a call from the district attorney's office. They were expanding their investigation. Would I testify? Yes, I said immediately. Mother must have gotten word because the harassment intensified. More relatives appeared at school. The private investigator was joined by a second one. Packages arrived at my apartment daily now, each more disturbing than the last. One contained my baby shoes with the laces tied into nooses. Another had pages from my childhood diary with violent comments written in the margins. The worst was a doll in a wheelchair with its legs cut off. I was documenting everything when my phone rang. Unknown number, but I was expecting a call from the DA. Hello? You think you've won? Mother's voice was different. Calm, cold. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Mother, you're not supposed to contact me. I'm your mother. No court can change that. You want to destroy me? Fine, but I'm taking you with me. She hung up. I immediately called the DA's office to report the contact violation. That night, Jamie and I were reviewing evidence when we heard glass breaking. Someone had thrown a brick through my living room window. Attached was a note. Liars live in glass houses. We called 911. This time, the police took it seriously. The combination of the broken window, the threatening note, and the recorded phone call was enough. We'll increase patrols, the officer said, and we'll be recommending upgraded charges to the DA. But I couldn't sleep. Every noise made me jump. Every car in the parking lot could be another relative, another investigator, another threat. The school installed additional security cameras after the brick incident. Parents organized volunteer patrols during school hours. The community was rallying around me, but it felt like preparing for a siege. Wednesday brought a new development. Dad called, sounding strange. Your mother's been hospitalized, he said. Real hospital this time. She collapsed at the grocery store. What happened? Stress, they think. Maybe a panic attack. But she's telling everyone you poisoned her. I haven't seen her in months. I know, but some relatives believe her. They're talking about hiring their own investigators. I hung up feeling numb. Even from a hospital bed, Mother was spinning narratives, playing victim, recruiting allies. Jamie looked at the evidence boxes surrounding us. How does this end? She'll never stop. He was right. Mother would escalate until one of us broke completely. The question was who would break first. Thursday's mail brought an official-looking envelope. Inside was a letter from a law firm I didn't recognize. Mother was suing me for intentional infliction of emotional distress, seeking damages of $2 million. She knows I don't have $2 million, I told Jamie. She wants to bankrupt you, force you to settle, sign whatever agreement she wants. I thought about my students, the kids who needed adaptive PE, the parents who'd fought for me, the life I'd built despite everything. Then we fight, I said. We show everyone exactly who she is. That night I started writing, not a legal document or a formal statement, just my story. The little girl who loved riding bikes, the teenager pushing through fractures, the young woman learning to walk again, the teacher finding purpose in helping others. I posted it on a blog Jamie helped me create. Simple, honest, with every piece of evidence attached. The response was overwhelming. Other athletes came forward with similar stories. Parents who'd pushed too hard, coaches who'd ignored injuries, a community of survivors finding their voices. But Mother had one more card to play. Friday afternoon, the principal called me to her office. Her face was grim. The superintendent received a package, she said. Your mother sent medical records suggesting you have a personality disorder, that you're a pathological liar who believes your own delusions. I stared at her. Those have to be forged. I've never been diagnosed with anything like that. I believe you. But the superintendent wants an independent psychological evaluation before you return to work. You're suspending me? Administrative leave, with pay, just until this is sorted out. I left her office in shock. Mother had found a way to take away the one thing I had left, my purpose, my students. Jamie was waiting in the parking lot. One look at my face and he knew. She got you suspended? I nodded, unable to speak. That's it, he said. We're ending this. Tonight. Jamie drove us straight to his apartment. I'd never seen him this determined. His jaw set as he pulled into the parking garage. Pack a bag, he said. We're going to Dad's house. Jamie, I can't just leave. I have responsibilities. You're on administrative administrative leave. Mother's escalating. We need witnesses for what happens next. I packed while he made calls. Dad agreed to host what Jamie called a family intervention. Not for Mother, but for everyone she'd manipulated. We arrived at Dad's house Saturday morning. He looked older, worn down by Mother's harassment campaign, but there was steel in his eyes I hadn't seen before. I've invited everyone, Dad said. Every relative she's recruited. They need to see the truth. By noon, the living room was packed. Aunt Samantha sat stiffly on the couch. Uncle Daniel leaned against the wall. Than was there, along with Danielle and a dozen other cousins. Most looked hostile, convinced they were defending a dying woman from her cruel children. Mother arrived last, using her walker for maximum effect. She'd lost weight, making herself look frail. Her eyes widened in fake surprise at the gathering. A family meeting? How wonderful. Maybe you'll all talk sense into my daughter. Jamie connected his laptop to Dad's TV. We have something to show everyone. Mother's face tightened. This is inappropriate. I'm not well enough for dramatics. Then sit, I said. You'll want to be comfortable. The first video started. Mother screaming at 13-year-old me to get back on my bike after a crash. Blood running down my leg. Her calling me pathetic. Aunt Samantha gasped. When was this? 2011, Jamie said. I have hundreds more. The room watched in silence as video after video played. Mother forcing me to train with visible injuries, berating me for crying. The worst was the spinal injury footage. My scream when she tried to drag me up, then stood abruptly. I need air. Wait, Jamie said. There's more. He switched to documents, the fake cancer reports. Daniel pointed out the forged letterheads, the non-existent doctor, bank statements showing Mother spending my prize money on herself. This is doctored, Mother shouted. They're tech-savvy. They can fake anything. Dad spoke up. I was there for some of this. It's real. Mother turned on him. You're still angry about the divorce. You'd say anything. Show them the recording from last week, I told Jamie. Mother's voice filled the room, cold, threatening. You want to destroy me? Fine, but I'm taking you with me. Uncle Daniel shifted uncomfortably. That sounds edited, Mother insisted. They're setting me up. Jamie pulled out a folder. These are the original medical reports from the hospital. The real ones, not the forgeries Mother created. He passed them around. Notice the dates. Every injury corresponds with a race. Every surgery delayed until after competitions. Aunt Samantha studied the papers, her face paling. These fractures, they went untreated for months? Mother said I was being dramatic. I said quietly. Lies. Mother abandoned her walker, lunging toward me. You ungrateful brat. I sacrificed everything. Dad and Jamie stepped between us. Mother's mask had slipped completely, her face contorted with rage. See? She said, trying to recover. They're making me upset. My heart condition. You don't have a heart condition, Daniel said flatly. I checked with the hospital. You've never been a patient there. The room erupted. Relatives demanding explanations. Mother screaming denials. Then returned from outside, took one look at the chaos, and pulled out his phone. I'm recording this, he announced. Everyone needs to see what's really happening. Mother whirled on him. You're my family. You're supposed to support me. I did, Than said. Until I saw those videos. That's child abuse. Get out! Mother screamed at him. All of you. You're poisoning my family against me. This is my house, Dad said calmly. You leave. Mother grabbed her walker, then seemed to remember she didn't need it. She threw it aside and stormed toward the door. You'll regret this, she hissed. All of you. I'll destroy every last one of you. After she left, the room was silent. Aunt Samantha was crying. Uncle Daniel stared at the floor. We helped her, Aunt Samantha whispered. We made those calls, wrote those letters. You didn't know, I said. We should have asked questions, Daniel said. Should have listened to your side. One by one, they apologized. Not all of them. A few cousins left without speaking, still loyal to Mother, but most stayed. They wanted to know how they could help. Call the parents you contacted, Jamie suggested. Tell them the truth. I'll call the school board, Aunt Samantha said. Explain how she manipulated us, then was already typing on his phone. I'm posting the recording of her meltdown. People need to see who she really is. By evening, the tide was turning. Parents who'd withdrawn their children called the principal. The school's Facebook page filled with supportive comments. The superintendent agreed to expedite my psychological evaluation, but Mother wasn't finished. Monday morning, Dad called in a panic. She's at my workplace. Security won't remove her because she's claiming it's a family emergency. Jamie and I rushed over. We found Mother in the lobby, telling anyone who'd listen that Dad had stolen her cancer medication. Security looked confused. She seemed so frail, so convincing. That's my ex-wife, Dad told security. She's harassing me. I have a restraining order being processed. He's lying, Mother wailed. He's keeping me from my chemotherapy. I rolled forward in my wheelchair. She doesn't have cancer. We have proof from the hospital. Mother's eyes locked on mine. For a second, I saw something break in them, the realization that her lies weren't working anymore. You did this, she said quietly, then louder. You did this. She charged at my wheelchair. Security finally acted, restraining her as she screamed threats. The police arrived within minutes. I want her arrested, Dad said firmly, for harassment and trespassing. As they led Mother away, she kept screaming about lawsuits and revenge, but her audience was gone. People turned away, embarrassed by the spectacle. Tuesday's psychological evaluation went smoothly. The psychiatrist, Dr. O'Jonathan, reviewed my medical history and Mother's forged documents. These are clearly fabricated, she said. The formatting is wrong, the terminology incorrect. Whoever made these has no medical training. When can I return to work? I'll have my report to the superintendent by tomorrow. You should be back by Thursday. Wednesday brought unexpected visitors. 3 of my former students stood at my apartment door with their parents. We wanted to apologize, one mother said. We believed the lies. We should have trusted you. Can we come back to class? Sammy asked. I miss adaptive PE. Of course, I said, fighting back tears. That evening, the district attorney called. Your mother violated her restraining order multiple times. With the new evidence of fraud and harassment, she's looking at significant jail time. time. What about the $2 million lawsuit? Dropped. Her lawyer saw the evidence and withdrew immediately. Thursday morning, I returned to school. The principal met me at the entrance with a smile. Welcome back. Your students have been asking for you every day. My classroom door was covered again, but this time with welcome back cards. The other teachers had organized it, each one signed with apologies and support. The adaptive PE class was fuller than ever. Word had spread about what really happened, and new students had enrolled. Parents stayed to watch, some crying as they saw their children playing adapted basketball and racing in wheelchairs. Miss, you're back! Sammy zoomed over in her chair. I've been practicing the trick you taught me. She demonstrated a perfect wheelie, beaming with pride. Other students crowded around, eager to show what they'd learned in my absence. That afternoon, Jamie texted me, check the news. The local station was running a segment on parents who push young athletes too hard. They didn't name Mother specifically, but her arrest was mentioned. The Cycling Federation had issued new guidelines for protecting minor athletes. Friday arrived with one final confrontation. Mother had made bail and appeared at school during dismissal. But this time, she wasn't alone. A small group of supporters surrounded her, the cousins who still believed her lies. There she is, Mother pointed at me, the daughter who destroyed her own mother. Parents formed a protective barrier around me and my students. Mrs. McJonathan stepped forward. You need to leave, now. This is public property, Mother shouted. I have every right to be here. The principal emerged with the school resource officer. Actually, you're banned from school grounds. Leave or be arrested. Mother's supporters looked uncertain. One cousin tugged at her arm. Maybe we should go. No, Mother shook him off. I'm exposing the truth. She pulled out a stack of papers, throwing them in the air. They scattered across the parking lot. More forged documents, fake medical reports, printed screenshots of messages I'd never sent. See? She screamed. Evidence. She's a fraud. But no one was picking up the papers. Parents were recording on their phones instead, documenting her breakdown. Her remaining supporters backed away, finally seeing the instability they'd been enabling. The resource officer stepped forward. Ma'am, you need to leave. Now. Mother looked around wildly, realizing she'd lost her audience. Her face crumpled. This isn't over, she said, but her voice had lost its power. I'll find a way. I always do. She left with her dwindling group of supporters. I heard later that 2 of them called Jamie that night, apologizing and asking for the real story. The weekend passed peacefully. Dad came over for dinner Saturday, looking more relaxed than I'd seen him in years. The divorce settlement fraud case was thrown out, he said. Her lawyer dropped it after seeing the evidence of her forgeries. Are you okay? I asked. Better than okay. I'm free. We all are. Sunday afternoon, I was planning lessons when my phone rang. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Sol? The voice was unfamiliar. Yes? I'm calling from the Cycling Advocacy Foundation. We've been following your story. We'd like to offer you a position developing our new athlete protection program. I gripped the phone tighter. I already have a job I love. We know. This would be consulting work, helping us create guidelines to prevent what happened to you. You could keep teaching while making sure no other young athlete goes through that abuse. Can I think about it? Of course. We'll send you the details. Monday's mail brought another package. My hands shook as I opened it, expecting more harassment. Instead, I found my old cycling medals, the ones Mother had kept. A note from Aunt Samantha explained she'd retrieved them while helping clear out Mother's storage unit. These belong to you, the note said. I'm sorry it took so long to return them. I held the medals, remembering the pain behind each one. Then I took them to school. My students gathered around as I explained what they represented. Sometimes people push us too hard, I said. Even people who say they love us. But your body is yours. Your limits are real, and anyone who truly cares about you will respect that. Is that why you use a wheelchair? Asked a new student. Yes, because someone pushed me past my limits. But you know what? This chair isn't a limitation. It's freedom. Just like your adaptive equipment isn't holding you back, it's helping you fly. I demonstrated a racing technique in my chair, students cheering as I zoomed across the gym. This was what mattered. Not the medals, not the Olympics that never were, but these kids learning to love their bodies exactly as they were. That evening, Jamie called with news. The DA offered Mother a plea deal. 2 years in jail, 3 years probation, mandatory psychiatric treatment. Will she take it? Her lawyer is recommending it. The alternative is a trial with all our evidence public. I thought about Mother, alone now with her lies exposed. Part of me felt sad for the woman who'd never learned to let go of her dreams, but a bigger part felt only relief. Good, I said. Maybe she'll finally get help. Tuesday brought a surprise. Dr. McJonathan visited my class bringing a proposal. The hospital wants to fund an expansion of your adaptive PE program, he said. More equipment, assistant instructors, even a summer camp for disabled youth. Why? Because what you're doing matters. These kids need more people like you. People who understand that adapted doesn't mean less than. I accepted immediately. Within a week, we had plans drawn up. Parents volunteered to help with fundraising. The school board approved the expansion unanimously. Mother took the plea deal. I didn't attend the sentencing, but Dad did. He said she looked smaller somehow. Her grandiose persona finally deflated. She didn't look at him once.